What if deeper intimacy could begin with a simple gaze? Eye gazing is a powerful tantric practice that helps couples and individuals build connection, trust, and presence simply by looking into each other's eyes. Learn the difference between eye gazing and staring, why it's so transformative, and how to start your own practice, solo or with a partner. I'm Brandon the Dom. Let's dive in. Eye gazing is one of the 3 pillars of tantric sex that I write about, and it's a practice that brings awareness to yourself and your partner through focused visual connection. The experience can feel like you're tapping into something deeper, more intimate, more innate, that could be described as divine. This is why the practice is sometimes referred to as soul gazing. A natural byproduct of this experience is a deepened connection filled with intimacy, trust, and vulnerability. Now, I know many of you have been following this channel for BDSM content, but the truth is, I actually started in the tantric realm before I got into BDSM. And a lot of the practices that I learned there, I transfer over into my interactions in BDSM to create that deeper connection. So a lot of my philosophies and approaches weave some of this in there. I also should note, and we'll talk more about this later, that when I talk about tantric sex, I'm referring to conscious sexuality, urban tantra, spiritual sexuality, those sorts of things, which is actually different than classical tantra, the ancient tradition that is the precursor to Buddhism and Hinduism, which I actually happen to practice as well. But the connection between those two is a little slim. More about that, I have a video here on my channel talking about neo-tantric sex and the possible connection it has with classical tantra. But returning back to eye gazing is similar to a concentration meditation, such as focusing attention on the breath. Except in this case, your partner's eyes become the anchor rather than the breath. As with a breath meditation, you allow thoughts and emotions to arise and pass, noticing when your attention drifts and gently returning back to your object of concentration. Now let's talk about eye gazing versus staring, because eye gazing is not the same thing as just staring at the other person, though at a quick glance, they may look similar. When someone stares at you, their eyes are wide in an attempt to take in information about the object that they're viewing. They are usually mentally evaluating, making judgments, categorizations, or assessments to determine whether or not you're a threat, a friend, a mating prospect, and so on. The stare carries intention and often feels penetrative or forceful and isn't always received consensually. In short, it doesn't feel good to be stared at. When someone eye gazes with you, their eyes are soft and free of tension, calmly accepting whatever they see in you. They aren't there to judge, impose, change, or deny your being, only to witness and observe. The gaze carries no agenda, feels gentle and relaxed, and is shared mutually and consensually. In short, it feels amazing. Now let's talk about why engage in eye gazing. Eye gazing is often touted as a way to powerfully build connection and intimacy with your partner. And without a doubt, that's true. But that connection is more of a byproduct than the original purpose of the practice. Eye gazing is one of many techniques within the tantric tradition, aimed at helping you become aware of the one consciousness that pervades every aspect of existence, including sex. You might expect to see something about them, something that's separate from you. But what you often discover is a sort of reflection of yourself, not the egoic self with labels and identities, but a self that's closer to pure being, something that's universal and shared with every living being, a consciousness that's not unique, but rather collective. This is the aspect that links this practice with many of the classical tantric practices, which really are just lots of techniques to help you come to this realization. Now, the experience of tantric eye gazing isn't exclusive to any one tradition. Tantric eye gazing has been shown to create a felt sense of oneness between 2 or more people by dissolving the boundaries between self and other. And that might sound esoteric, so let's strip away some of the spiritual language for a moment. When you engage in eye gazing, you're directly looking into your partner's eyes. You begin to notice subtle details about them. The micro movements in their face, the tension that they're holding in their jaw, the flutter of an eyelid. In your peripheral vision, you're also taking in vast amounts of information. You may perceive sadness, grief, joy, anger, resentment, bliss, any emotion that makes up the human experience. Of course, you can't truly know what they're feeling, but this ambiguity sparks a deep curiosity about them and what's going on for their experience. And tantric eye gazing doesn't just foster emotional recognition for the sake of intimacy. Biologically, humans actually determine emotional states by analyzing the eyes. Studies show increased activity in the amygdala, the brain region responsible for processing emotions, when we look into someone's eyes. At the same time, you'll become aware that you are being seen. And with each passing second, there's an increase in your sense of exposure and vulnerability. And most likely, you're about to have thoughts flood your mind. What can they see? Can they tell how insecure I feel right now? Do they see my anger, my sadness, my shame, or my blame? Would they like what they saw? And interestingly, these are the same feelings that you just projected on them. The truth is, your experiences aren't so different. As time goes on and you continue to eye gaze with them, you begin to notice that their gaze isn't there to judge. It's just simply present, steady, unwavering. And as the two of you continue to gaze, just observe, accepting, and surrendering, the trust between you builds. So what if you allowed more of them in? What if you rested exactly in this moment as it was? What if you're both looking for the same thing? Your nostrils flare, your breath begins to deepen. Both of your pupils dilate, as if you're both simultaneously letting more of each other in. Your gaze softens, your peripheral vision fades, and the boundary between you blurs. And external details, like appearance or personality, begin to fall away. And you begin to wonder, who are they? Who am I? And you catch a glimpse of a timeless truth. Have these eyes become a window or a mirror? Who is being observed? And who is the observer? Are they one and the same? They are you are them. Their eyes reflect the whole universe, as does yours. Rather than fueling intimacy through wild passion, this practice commits both of you to being with each other, being still together. Non-reactive, observant, present. You're not averting your gaze, you're not escaping, you're not hiding, you're not blaming. You're just being. And through that stillness is where the connection is born. Eye gazing is a profoundly healing practice because it quickly delivers us to the experience of recognizing others in ourselves. It directly challenges the illusion of separation and offers us a repeated taste of our fundamental unity. So, how does all of this improve your relationship and sex life? The benefits of this simple act of gazing into someone's eyes for an extended period of time are immense. Because the eyes are the most expressive facial feature, they allow for deeper insight into your partner's desires and emotions. And as the one being viewed, you may feel deeply seen, felt, and understood, a fundamental human desire that we all share. When you begin to notice shared emotional experiences, and you aren't shamed or guilted for them, a sense of self-acceptance also begins to emerge. Eye contact is also strongly associated with trust. Avoiding eye contact, conversely, is often linked with deception. So by simply maintaining eye contact, trust is both built and sustained. There's also regression analysis that reveal a correlation between sexual mindfulness and sexual satisfaction. And that same sexual satisfaction is inversely correlated with orgasm-focused sex. In other words, partners who are more spiritually connected during sex feel less pressure to climax, which allows intimacy to shift from goal-orientated to experience-orientated. And all of that is quite a lot for just a simple exercise. Just gazing into another person's eyes for an extended period of time. Of course, it's a little more than that. So let's talk about how to engage in tantric eye gazing, both with a partner and with yourself. Now, the first time that you try eye gazing, it's likely to feel uncomfortable or maybe even invasive, because in daily life, we tend to avoid prolonged eye contact, yet we deeply crave the connection it creates. When you begin this practice, you may feel uneasy, tense, or even confronted with difficult emotions. That's okay. The key is to welcome everything that arises with compassion. So start small. Begin with just a minute or two and gradually work your way up to longer sessions, anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. While the actual practice may not take that long, give yourself time to prepare beforehand and space afterward to integrate whatever surfaced during the experience. So here's how to eye gaze with a partner. First, set up a distraction-free space. Turn off or set aside your phones and prepare the environment with soft lighting, perhaps by lighting a candle or dimming the room. Then sit comfortably facing each other. And you can do this sitting cross-legged on the floor, in chairs, in the bed, whatever feels the most comfortable while allowing you to stay upright. The practice is meant to feel good, so let your body relax into that posture. Then close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Begin noticing your own thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations. Accept whatever is present in your awareness and gently bring your attention to the breath. Take a few breaths there. Just sit in that. Then signal to your partner when you're ready. This can be done silently through starting to engage in eye contact with them, or energetically through touching them, perhaps by holding their hands or resting your hand on their leg. Then you'll slowly open your eyes and let your gaze meet theirs. And as you do so, take a few deep, conscious breaths together as you begin to connect. And what I recommend is choosing one eye to focus on, either the left or right, but traditionally it's usually the left, or if their dominant hand is the left, then it's their right. And maintain your focus on that left eye rather than going back and forth. And as you do this, notice what arises. Thoughts and emotions are likely to come and go. Let them pass and gently return your attention back to your partner's eyes. And as much as possible, try and keep your gaze still. The stillness in your gaze is going to mirror the stillness of your mind. And as your inner chatter begins to quiet, your identification with thoughts and ego begins to soften. And you start to inhabit the role of a centered witness. As you are looking at your partner, don't take their reactions personally. If they blink often, they look away, or close their eyes, just remember, it can be incredibly vulnerable to be seen like this. So just welcome them back without judgment and don't push for more than they're ready for. I also recommend accepting everything as it is. Allow your experience and your partner's to unfold naturally. Whatever comes up during this is welcome. As you get better at this practice, you can also try harmonizing your breath. So if it feels organic, you may find that your breath is starting to get in sync with your partner's. This doesn't need to be forced, doesn't need to happen, doesn't even need to be acknowledged, but you may notice that connection happening. And finally, see beyond the personality. So try to look past your partner's body or their identity. Instead, try and see the essential being in them, the same being that exists in you. Let yourself relax into a shared experience of breathing, being, and presence without any goal. Now, when you first start this practice, I recommend just doing the eye gazing on its own and getting comfortable with it. Then you can start to integrate it into some of your sexual sessions or scenes as a ritual precursor, or you can even try it during intercourse. In fact, you can try eye gazing during penetration, whether you're thrusting or you're staying still. Both are going to bring different feelings to the surface, and that's okay too. Acknowledge each feeling as it arises. Those feelings might be very primal, they might be very lustful, they might be very loving. Whatever it is, it's okay. And with practice, the discomfort around any of these moments is going to dissolve and the intimacy is going to deepen. Now, eye gazing isn't a practice that you have to do with a partner. In fact, you can do eye gazing on your own because it's not only beneficial for partnerships, it's also beneficial to help connect with your own inner landscape. It allows you to become more aware of your emotions, your body, and your state of mind. So similarly to when doing it with a partner, create a quiet, soothing space. Remove distractions, turn off your phone, dim the lights, use candles. Set a proper environment for yourself. Then you're going to sit comfortably in front of a mirror. Again, choose a position that feels good for your body while still allowing you to sit upright. As we did before with a partner, you're going to close your eyes and breathe deeply. Just check in with yourself. What sensations, thoughts, or emotions are currently present? Continue breathing and gently return your focus to your breath if your mind begins to wander. And when you're ready, open your eyes and gaze at your own reflection. Basically, look into your eyes as you would with any other partner. And notice what comes up. Allow any thoughts or emotions to arise. They're all okay, no matter what comes up. Meet them with compassion, and then gently return your focus back to your gaze. As you're doing this, let yourself be exactly as you are. Whatever shows up, grief, tenderness, discomfort, resistance, hate, love, it's all welcome. And then I want you to try and see past your self-perception. Beneath the story of who you think you are lies your essential nature. Let that come into focus. Now, this may be a deeply confronting practice, especially if you're prone to be self-critical or have derogatory thoughts. If so, you might find it helpful and challenging to say affirmations aloud while gazing into your eyes in the mirror. Phrases like, I love you, I accept you, I care for you. These words may feel foreign at first, but over time, they may feel more like home. Because tantric eye gazing offers a doorway into connection, not only with your partner, but with yourself, and the deeper shared consciousness that flows between all beings. This isn't a practice about performance or perfection. It's about presence, a willingness to see and be seen, to drop the masks and rest just for a moment in the truth of what is. With time and practice, what begins as a simple gaze can often soften defensiveness, dissolve illusions of separation, and open you to profound intimacy, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually. Eye gazing invites you to slow down and to remember that love is not something that you do, but something that you recognize in each other when you allow yourself to truly look. Now, if the description of this practice has started to move something in you, don't stop there. Tantric eye gazing is one pillar of a much larger foundation. So you can deepen this practice by also exploring tantric breathing for sex and tantric touch for sex. Two powerful guides that, when woven together with eye gazing, can create a full body experience of sacred erotic connection. I'll leave links for both of those down below. And as I mentioned before, if you want to learn about the basis of these practices, both in Neo-Tantra and Classical Tantra, I recommend checking out this video. It'll give you a good overview of these so that you can dive deeper. So check out that video, and thank you so much for your time and attention.